Yes, I think I'm ready.
Okay, and Monsignor is on.
I'm here.
All right, we are going to get started so that we don't stay on this call for too long. I welcome everybody, and I am going to turn it over to Monsignor to lead us with opening prayer and reflection.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
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 Father, we thank you for this night of gathering, the night we come together to think through who we are and how we would like to be and how we can move on. A night of inspiration and dialogue and conversation, that we can know what it is that we must do to become everything that you have called us to become. And so I offer this meeting to be covered by the power of the Holy Spirit, that our intentions and our minds might be inspired, that our conversation might be fruitful, that our intentions, Father, may be productive. We ask you this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
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 I just a few words to start us off. You know, there is some, we as Africans are blessed with individual initiatives. We do so well when we do things individually. Privately, we are highly gifted, and we progress when we are pursuing our individual interest. The area that has continued to haunt us is to do things together as a community. Once we get together, our intelligence gets underway. We are no longer as productive as we are as individuals. We are no longer as cohesively in thought as we are as individuals. We are no longer as self-donating of ourselves as we do when we pursue individual interest. That is why so far I have been, thank God for what NAACUS has done so far. We have, at least in the past few years, defiled a lot of the nemesis that haunts African groups. And we are redefining us at NAACUS. It's my hope that as we continue this redefinition of who we are, that we can actually work together, that we can actually embrace a task as a people, that we can actually move beyond our self-interest and deal with communal interest, that we can actually embrace that philosophy that says, I am because we are. It is that we are trying to pursue tonight. And so my thing is this. On this table tonight is a question. What do we do that we might be one, so that when we step outside of the confines of our oneness, we will still remain one even as we integrate with the wider community? What must we do to identify those things that draw us back when it comes to communal action? What must we do to not allow ourselves be drawn back into those areas of divisiveness that cause us not to progress as a people? And so as we engage in that conversation tonight, I pray that the Spirit of God may direct us, that we all can, in humility, accept each other's views and together come up with how we must march on. God bless this effort.
Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much, Monsignor. What a way to kick off this conversation with our NAACUS leaders. And now it is appropriate, since we are trying to find a way to have a conversation within our community, to listen to our African Union anthem. And this time, Brother Kwame.
Thank you all. Let me stop it.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We are going to move on to opening remarks. I welcome our brothers and sisters for joining us today. And we are so happy that you are able to join us. I know some of you are wondering why we have invited you to join in this conversation. As I mentioned at our October board meeting, due to the social injustice going on globally, I have received numerous communication from people asking when is NAACUS going to organize some type of open conversation within our African community. And then also, and beyond, addressing all the issues that are facing other communities. And in addition, since the formation of NAACUS, we continue to witness our diversified community that is divided, either by country of origin, ethnicity, language, and so on. We continue to see our communities refusing to embrace NAACUS, therefore making the role of the coordinators very challenging. As a result, it makes sense for us as an organization to have this open conversation with our NAACUS leaders first, so we can start building bridges. How can we overcome these divisions? How can we begin to change our behavior towards one another as to make us united and have a stronger voice? With the board supporting to move forward with this project, a dialogue initiative committee was formed at the October board meeting as to develop some action plans. The team has met and agreed on some plans in different phases. Phase one, to have a conversation with all NAACUS coordinators so we can be on the same page, resulting the reason why each one of you have been invited to join in this conversation. The phase one include the NAACUS coordinator. It also includes all the national advisors. Then phase two is to have our leaders who are present to identify the key African Catholic community leaders and to invite them for the next phase to have a dialogue with each one of us. Following the conversation and depending on what happens to phase two, we will determine if we are ready to move forward to phase four, which would be a dialogue between the African and African American community. But that is a long way from today. The meeting tonight is strictly to focus on phase one, and so we will outline the goal. We will introduce the theme of the dialogue initiative, and we will address any questions you might have. We will obtain your input and to let you know what we need from you as we journey together on this dialogue initiative. As our Ethiopian proverb says, when spiders unite, they can tie down a lion. And as Swahili proverb also said, united in strength, division is weakness. So once again, I thank you all and for at least making the attempt to join us for today. This is really an open conversation. We would like to hear from you And having said that, on the agenda, you can see the theme that the Dialogue Initiative have decided to be the theme of this conversation as we move forward, which is unity in diversity. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. And it is appropriate for this initiative that we are planning to do. And what we are going to do, and I will transfer the conversation to Brother Kwame, is as we are reflecting on the theme for this dialogue. I would like you, as we start talking about open comment and so on, please be patient. And please be open to what each other have to say, and please listen to what each other have to offer. And on the introduction of that theme, the unity in diversity, we would like to get input from you in terms of breaking it down into sub-themes. And those sub-themes is what is going to lead us in terms of the conversation we are going to have with the key community leaders as we move forward to phase 2. And so reflect on that as we are having conversation. I know we might not be able to get to everybody, comment and so on. And after the meeting, if you didn't get the chance to express your comment, you can always email us or text us or WhatsApp us regarding your comment, which will help the Dialogue Initiative team to be able to narrow it down as we move to the next phase. Once again, thank you everybody, and we are happy to have you here. And I'm gonna turn it over to Brother Kwame.
Thank you very much, Sally, for the intro. And I'm going to be very brief because I want as many of us to share our ideas as possible. But for those of us who were in the coordinators, the last coordinators meeting, this is exactly what we talked about. If our Sister Rain is here, she spoke. Nana Danso is here, he spoke. And the consensus was, it's a good thing that we come together as Africans. Now, if Deacon Sani is not here, but he mentioned to me one thing, like if his bishop was asking him, where are the Africans? While Deacon Sani was trying to explain that like, there are so many countries in Africa, the bishop was only interested in Africans, right? And I understand that because I tell people this is the only color that when you're walking 10 miles away, they see that it is different from any other color. You may have any other combination, it's kind of difficult to determine unless you get closer. But with this color, 10 miles away, they see you are different. So the group ourselves together. But it's we that are separating ourselves from each other. And the reasons why we're separating ourselves are very minor, inconsequential reasons. But it is up to us to get beyond all that. Nkrumah in the 60s was talking about African unity. Europe was actually criticizing him because they thought it was a stupid idea. 10 years later, Europe took that idea and it formed the European Union. So it means like the whole world knows there is something good in being united. If we don't see this, then I mean there's something that we are not seeing. So I don't think there's a question of if we have to do it, but the question is how we can achieve this in the soonest possible, so that we can extend it to us, to our brothers and sisters of the African descent. So, Madam President, I'll turn it back to you so that we can have an open discussion. And please, as I said, we just want to have as many people as possible express themselves. If it can be brief, if we cannot finish the discussions today, and if you are still interested, we can schedule another time to continue the conversation. Thank you.
At this time, this is really open open comment, and the comment to be based on look at the theme for the dialogue initiative, and reflect on that in terms of if we are inviting the key community leaders in your respective communities, in your respective areas, what type of, looking at that unity and diversity, you know, how do you think that, you know, the conversation will be centered upon? So you think about that in terms of, because this is really us. We are all the same. We are all in this together. And we wanted to hear from you so that we can be able to start structuring the way that we'll be able to come up with, you know, with the conversation, because unity in diversity is too broad. So this is really open for open dialogue, and that's what we call it. So let's reflect on that, and let's hear from you what you think as we move forward in structuring the agenda for the next phase.
Mr. Sale, this is Paul Amuche.
Yes.
My first thing would be to ask, what common values do we share together? What is common among us as Africans and as African Catholics? What values are common among us as African Catholics and as Africans?
Okay. Anybody else?
This is Monsignor Esselon. I think as we reflect on that question that Dr. Amuche just asked, what are the common factors that can help us build a strong community? I think in the same light, we also will think about what usually divides African communities. Why are we not able to do it together? We already know from this election that when Africans come together, they can move mountains. But why are we always not able to do it? What divides us mostly? So I think we're looking at two very big questions right away. What are the commonalities that bind us together that will allow us to function as a people? And then what are those factors that continually and consistently divide us, that make us not function as a unity? I think that if we are able to articulate those two poles, we will probably start a conversation that is probably more, that will be targeted and directed.
Okay. Those
This is Ren. I, you know, just piggybacking on Monsignor and Paul, I'm thinking about how can we celebrate our diversity within these two questions? How can we bring out our diversity and celebrate it within these two questions? It falls in between.
I don't think diversity, like Monsignor said, is a negative thing.
No, I'm not looking at it as a negative. I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not repeating what you said. I'm just saying, just a comment.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think it's being said in a negative term of not coming together with our diversities. That might be our strength, but how do we
exactly
harness that strength to bring us together as one unit?
All right.
This is Frida.
Yes.
One aspect is, how do we communicate with each other? Do we have a common way of communicating? Do we feel comfortable communicating? Because language is power. And when people find something that unites them, and sometimes the method of communication matters. So some Africans find that they can come together, maybe they like to eat the same food, so they communicate about food, or they like music, they communicate about music, or they like, something family. So how do we communicate with each other? What is it that Africans you can put on the table and you have a good buy-in through communication?
Okay.
Do you mean the language barriers or?
Yeah, so is it language? Can we use language as a means of communication that can bring us together? Something that binds.
This is
Because
Deacon
people
Francis.
always look for something that makes them feel like they belong.
This is Deacon Francis. I see music, regardless being say in what language, is always bring African together. And let me give the example as Southern Sudanese. We, the Southern Sudanese, like very much Congolese music. We do not understand what are the meanings of the words. But being in an African music from Congo or any part of Africa, it always bring us and together, and there is a feeling of belonging, that this is an African music, and it's something to do also with our values. The values of culture, regardless that we have that many different cultures, but always it will bring us together as an African, regardless of the language that being used or being played within that music. So I see music as a factor that always bring African together.
Okay. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Don't forget, we are gathering information from everybody. So nothing anybody says is it will help. So.
This is Uche. Uche Ezechukwu. What I want to add is another thing would be communication. How do we as Africans communicate? I know that most of us have different languages, and it's also important to know that even within the differences we have in our languages, that there are so many things that bring all of us together. How do we communicate what we want as Africans to each other? Like, for instance, as we have different countries in different cities, how are we letting people know who we are as Africans? We have Nigerians, we have Senegalese, we have Congolese, and so many of us. We also have to bring out that strategy too, where whatever the focal points will be, that the communication method will be something that will be understood by people. I'll give an example. Part of the problem that we have in, bringing Africans together within NAACUS is our individualities, that our identities that we all have as different nations. So we have to also tackle that point of contention of individual identities of each group. And we cannot overemphasize the fact that every group still wants to maintain their identities. So I believe that communication of that identity will be part and parcel of whatever we want to do. Remembering that most of us Africans, most of us grew up back home, and what we know is our identities. And as NAACUS, when we are formulating this wonderful, work we are all into now, we have to also bring in that individualities and identities so that we do not underrate them, because as different groups are, there are a lot of, I've come to see that part of the problem is that so many people have that fear of losing their identities. So we have to also bring forward, as we are starting, letting people know, letting groups know, each group, that your identities will remain what it is, that those fears, we have to also tackle that particular fear of identity issue.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Yes. Yeah, Madam Ngozi. Madam Ngozi wants to say something. Okay, just to give 2 points. To be honest with you, when we started talking about it, I was almost trying to block off myself, because I spent almost 20 years in religious life talking about unity and diversity, because our congregation was international and we kept talking about it. So that's unity and diversity sometimes throws me off balance. However, if it's acceptable, I would like us to also look into sensitivity, either in our food or in language, when we gather together to talk, or the expressions. Sensitivity is a big thing for me. And then another one will be body language. There are some cultures that people just relax in doing things, and others will just be all worked up in doing things. So, and those can, if we can also look into those, if we are really going to address this. Sometimes it helps, other times it doesn't help, but sensitivity and body language is what I will add to whatever we are talking about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brother Alice.
Thank you, my sister. I think all the points that everyone has raised is very important and crucial to our discussion and the path to the unity of all African Catholics, and especially merging or marrying with NAACUS. But we can't emphasize on these topics or issues without delving into any historical facts. History is important in this direction. Most of African countries or ethnic groups have so many differences. And we carry these differences with us wherever we go. And these date back to days that when we were not even born, not even when our forefathers were not born. And that has become a stigma in our societies. Sometimes in my country, for instance, there's one particular tribe that consider themselves as the most well-educated in Ghana. Another tribe also consider themselves as the the most economic people. And for that reason, they consider themselves as paying more taxes, and they were the business magnates. So there is conflict between these major tribes in my country. And I know in other countries in Africa, there are certain issues of such nature over there. So when we even travel and there's anything, and especially when we see that there's one particular tribe there, other tribes would not like to associate themselves with those people from that tribe. This has become the barrier that is vision, causing us to be weak wherever we find ourselves. So if we are able to address these cultural and ethnic differences among us, and then we see ourselves not belonging to our traditional homes when we come together as a body of Christ and see that we are each other's keeper, we are all united, not in the flesh, but we are united in Christ, who is the author and the finisher of our faith. And we also understand everyone the way they are and give the mutual respect and treat everyone with great respect. I think we will be able to extend our hands and we'll be able to embrace, and people will also reach out to us. Ephesians chapter 4 tells us that though there are many gifts, there's one Spirit, and we are all together, serving one God, and there's only one baptism. And Jesus' own prayer was that we all should be one. So the question of unity was at the central part of Jesus' heart. It's something that he knew that all of us should do. So I will just suggest that we can talk about all this. If we fail to address the remote cause in the African society, we may not achieve anything. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I was going by my notes just before somebody else. I keep hearing communication. I heard our values. I heard the division. To be able to talk about that, and then Brother Alex did talk about history, talk about the culture and ethnic differences, and then I heard the sensitivity and the body language. I think so far that is a summary of the feedback that I have heard so far. Is there anybody else that have something that is different from what I just summarized?
Sally, I would like to add. I mean, go ahead, David, because you haven't spoken yet. Go ahead.
Please give those who haven't spoken the time for them to say something. Yes.
Thank you, Ren. I remember a few years ago, I took a group of young people to Australia on World Youth Day. Some of them were Africans, and most of them were Hispanics. And while we were there, in the place where we were sitting, I was told that somebody was looking for me. So I was wondering, who might be looking for me? So I followed the person who came to say that somebody was looking for me. And when I got there, there was two young women from Sudan. And so I said, so you're looking for me? And they said, are you the African guy? I said, yes. And they said, oh, what part of Africa? And then they just struck out the conversation. I found that highly interesting. They were young people. And I thought at that moment, what a trait we can all emulate, accepting ourselves and accepting one another, being proud of who we are and being proud of my sisters and brothers. They talked about movies, the movies that they watched, the Nollywood movies and all of that. And I at that time, I don't normally watch those movies. And so again, but I connected in that conversation, in that short conversation, movies. There was respect. They respected. I mean, I just, to look out for an African in the midst of thousands of people, because there wasn't that many Africans there. And for them to claim that they are Africans in the midst of this wonderful place. I just thought that that was something that I have carried with me since that time. Now, Alex nailed the coffin to where I wanted to base or I wanted to say, but I just want to touch a few things there. See, Africans, we are taught to be afraid of one another so that they can survive. Africans, we are also taught to be afraid of one another because they can't trust one another. That was from our colonial masters. And even when the church came in Africa, they also sowed the seed of division. They told us that those who are not Catholics are going to hell. And so that became a fight, a war all over, at least in the Igbo land that I know. And so, but I think this is one of the reasons why this subject has become something that we all are so happy that we are all interested in. Because now at least we now have realized that all those things are not true, and that we are proud of being Africans. We love one another, we accept one another, we look out for one another. And I think that, again, what Alex said, there has to be a series of conferences and presentations, decolonization, going through the steps. It has been over 400 years of indoctrination. Just because we have gone to college and understood what is going on doesn't mean we can just snap our fingers and it happens. So we also have to do the investment, the time and the money for those who have studied it so that they can come, especially when we come together in our conferences, and we will listen. And it becomes a time to learn together versus anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah, Stephanie.
Yes, go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, I think I don't know who just spoke, but the one who just spoke, I think he mentioned a good point. And I also want to talk about acceptance and respect. We have to accept each other. And also, many people don't know that when you are from other parts of Africa, you can be different from others. I've been seeing that many people are very shocked sometimes. So I think there's something that we have to accept, and we have to accept people's opinion, and we have to be open. That's very important. We have to respect people. Like if somebody is from another culture, we have to accept, okay, this one is from Africa, but this is their culture. So I think we have to accept the cultural and ethnic diversity. That's very important, and also be non-judgmental. Because what I observe, like people, once we are from the same part of a country, or maybe a place or a tribe, in the group, we seem like we are okay, but people have like group within the group. it is something that it causes division amongst people. And because we don't speak the same language, people will say, okay, so because I'm not from your part, and that's the way you are treating me, I think there's something that we have to work on. And this applies to all of us, because we are all from one part of, of Africa. We have friends, we have, family, we have relative. But if you can work on that and try, to accept people's opinion, try to accept people, even they are not from our part. That's very important, because I think that's something that, cause division, especially what I'm seeing here in Chicago. So that's something that I want to mention. I think acceptance, being non-judgmental, and also respect people, wherever they come from. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there? I'm really glad that everybody is opening up. This is a really great conversation. We're gonna take a couple more people, and then we move next to the agenda. And then, after that, if we decide that we would like to schedule another meeting, I think Brother Kwame said that to continue this conversation before we can even move on to the next phase. That's great too. Is there any more, two more people, if we can get two more, those who haven't get the chance to express their opinion, if you can be able to do that, that's great.
I have something to add to it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Wilhelmina. I wanted to say we all have to remember that we all have a common goal, and we have to understand that we are all immigrants and we came here because we wanted to better our lives, and we should always try to empower each other. We should not be selfish with our knowledge, because we are here for one reason, to be better. Than if we were better off in our countries, I don't think we want to come here and stay. So if we see, because I see some people, they speak French, and there's somebody that knows English. Because they know English, they are not willing to help the French-speaking person that is from Africa to grow. They will let them stay and just say, oh, they have to figure it out. Because you speak English, this person is coming from a whole different place that has never spoken English before and is struggling in America. I don't understand if you want somebody else to help that brother or that sister coming from Africa. It doesn't matter what part of Africa they come from. Some of them don't even speak French. They speak their dialect. We can sacrifice our time because we know we want to achieve something, which is to better our life. So we should try to empower each other to grow. When they succeed, it means we Africans, we have succeeded. So I'm just begging each other to understand that we have a common goal and we know where we are all heading to, success.
Thank you. Thank you. One more person. Anybody else?
Yeah, Madam President, I am here.
Mr. Provost.
Yes, I am. Thank you. My own submission is I'm little surprised that Africans coming from a communal society undergo these strange metamorphoses into I-ism or individualism, me-ism. Basically, in Africa, no matter what our submissions tonight, we are a communal society. But when we cross the Atlantic and come here, we become I-ism, me-ism, individualistic. I give an example currently. I am the executive director of a group in my country, and we have a developmental program we call Sustainable Development. A group of young people have volunteered to provide the labor to grow cassava, turn it into gari, working as communal young men in the village. When I find it that we come here and that is wiped off completely from our souls, our culture. And I'm yet to decide to find out why that is the case, because I think that is fundamental for the division we have here. Why? Communal, we, to me, I, is so strange. It's not African. Okay, I don't know whether I'm making any solution or just causing problem as usual.
No, actually you are making sense that when we are back home, some of us, we don't have that mentality for one reason. When we get here, that's basically what you are trying to say. Everybody's all about me, 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 and then we tend to forget about we.
Right.
So, right. Anyway, thank you so much. Is there anybody else who want to say anything else before we move on? To summarize again on this is what I heard. I heard that the key. I heard communication. I heard about sensitivity, body language, African values, division within what actually is causing that, those division, and that's where it's always good to go back to the history, which is our culture and the ethnic differences, and I heard about acceptance, for us to be more acceptable and not to judge people. And then common goals, remember we are all immigrants, and then to empower each other to be successful. And then the last is always the individuality once we get here. Did I summarize pretty much what I heard? Is there anything else?
That was a good summary.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. I think this is really good, because we are leaders and we want to hear from you. And I think probably what we're gonna do is next time start breaking all these down and start ranking it, to number 1 and number 2. To be able to figure out, when we mean communication, what it is exactly we're talking about, and how can we be able to start breaking it down in terms of a communication, and the same thing with the history. How are we gonna go by and do that? And it's gonna require some communication for us to be able to accomplish that. Thank you. We will circle back to all these key points once we finish to the agenda to decide where do we go with all these key items. Brother Kwame.
Sister Sally, before Brother Kwame comes, can I speak?
Who's that? I'm sorry. Who's saying?
This is Alex. Yeah, before we hand over to Brother Kwame, I have to say, in addition to what I said initially.
Brother Alex, I'm sorry. Can you make it brief? The next summary, and until I get Brother Kwame. Did he
Okay,
put
let
himself?
Brother Kwame talk. As we are still on, there will be an opportunity for me to talk. So let Brother Kwame talk.
Okay.
Okay, team. Thank you very much for your comments. Left to me alone, we need to have more discussions because as the saying goes, there are more questions than answers. Once anybody makes a comment, you tend to realize that, wait a minute, you want to go deeper. And just like Sally said, we need to break all these things down. But then like if in breaking it down, we also need to go down to our communities, okay, to share this information. We are the top, but there are other community leaders who are leading. Let me use the word. The, the grassroots who are in direct contact with the people that we need to get to. But unless we get to these community leaders and share these conversations with them, we'll be talking here and it may not get anywhere. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the list of our community leaders. Now, we are the leaders, we are the coordinators, and we know our community leaders. We are requesting that if we can submit the lists, the contact information for our community leaders. When you say contact information, we need the name and the title, the position or title, whatever you want to call it. The name, the title, the phone number, the email, the region where that community leader is from, and the community that leader is representing. We are not going to sell this information. No. We are just going to contact them, invite them, and let them join in this conversation because as I said earlier, they are those who are dealing with the quote unquote the grassroots, the people who are really the people that we really need to get in touch with. If we get this information, we will invite them as individuals to come in and join in this conversation, so that so basically, if anything that we share from here, they are going to implement it. When I say that they are going to implement it, if the Ghanaian community in Dallas is holding an event, they should be able to reach out to the Zimbabwean community, the Cameroonian community, the Nigerian community, the Igbo community. They should be able to reach out to these communities and invite them to join them in their programs. That is one way that we can build this bridge. But if we don't do that, then we are here talking and it will not get anywhere. That's the reason why we want these this information. And we know we as regional coordinators, we have some of the names, if not all. As many as you can get, it is very welcome. We want this information. We're just going to contact them and then invite them to join us, because they are key to any discussions and to any implementation of our discussions, which is the key. We can talk, but if we do not act, we are just wasting our time. So please, as I said earlier, the contact information that we're looking for, just the name and the title. If it's Kwame Frimpong, the secretary, yeah, Kwame Frimpong, secretary. Then the phone number, the email, the region that leader is in, region 4. And the community name, for the Ghana Catholic community, the Zimbabwean community, and we are hoping that we know some of you have this information. We're hoping that within a week or two, we can get this information because we need to strike while the iron is hot. If we don't strike when it's hot and it gets cold, it might not it might not work. So please, this is my dear humble request to all the leaders on this on this on this dialogue right now.
Question, Kwame, clarification. When you talk about community leaders, are you talking about Catholic African leaders? Or are you talking about leaders, or what do you define as community leaders?
We're talking about African Catholic community leaders in your region.
Yeah, don't forget the focus NAACUS is more of African Catholic. So we are focusing on African Catholic leaders. Anybody have any question? Anybody have any question on that?
And please, please, yes, it's like also notes like whatever we are doing and how about we doing it, we are trying to improve the communications so that it will make your work as a regional coordinator easier. If we as NAACUS is able to organize the leaders in your community, you have access to them, you share the information, and they will share the information with you. And it's going to make the work easier for you and for the whole NAACUS. That is one main reason why we're doing this. So please take this serious. I'm pleading with you. Make this a priority. Thank you.
Any other comment? Some of you already have a list. I know the Midwest, the people in the Midwest, Sister Stephanie, you already have a list, and Sister Uche, maybe you don't have a list. Sister Ren has a list. So really, all you gotta do is look at your list and see. Do you have additional people that you would like to add on the list? Don't forget the chaplains and etc. Add them, add them on the list. People in Region 3, when we had a Region 3 conference, you already have a list. It's a matter of updating your list and sending it to us, and a letter will be sent to each one of them.
Hey, Sister Sally, I have a list with me. After that, I will send it to you guys.
All right, thank you. And I know some people already have their list. Within a week or two, we should be able to identify the key leaders, and that will take us to the next thing on their agenda. When can we send information out? It depends on when can we get the information from the leaders so that we can be able to send the invite letters to them. We already have invite letters that have been drafted. Monsignor helped us last time with Region 3 to draft the letter, so we have that. We have a letter that we drafted for the Midwest when we invited the Midwest leaders. So all those things are in place. It's just updating it and sending it out. It's within 2 weeks. Is that doable? Within a week or 2 weeks, is that doable? By Brother Kwame, what did we say? The 23rd.
Yes, 23rd.
You mean for the submission of the list of the community leaders?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
To me,
right.
that's okay.
Yeah, and then for the national advisors, this is also including you, because there's a lot of the communities that we haven't been able to tap into, and this is that opportunity. Okay, so if we can get that within 2 weeks, and I know most likely within 2 weeks we should be able to turn it around and sending the emails out, right, Brother Kwame?
Yes.
We should be able, yes, and we're gonna need people to help us in terms of putting this together. But let's gather the list first. Now, the question is back again. Now we have decided we are going to identify the key leaders, get the contact information, and so on. Send the invite letter. Now the question for this group now is, do we need to have another meeting with the NAACUS leaders? It means all of us who are here to go through the list that we have come up with, looking at the theme and you know, rank it and figure out which one among them that we need to focus on, because there's no way we can be able to address all these issues at once. Do we need to have another meeting to handle that? Because in my opinion, I don't think we are ready to invite the community leaders to join us in this conversation until we can be able to agree on those things. Or if you know, if you all felt comfortable and said, you know what, this thing, the national, you know, the dialogue team can work, you know, to take this list and work on work it out in terms of detail, and then so we can be able to. So I need to hear from you. You know, how do you think that we need to move forward? This is open. Anybody have anything to say on that one? Any comment?
Yeah, I guess this is David. You know, it might help to do what the Latinx community has done in this country. So all these things that we talked about today, we can generate, maybe this is not the stage, but we can generate like a questionnaire where, but when we're done talking with the leaders, the people on the ground, that they're willing to work with this cause, that they could take those questionnaires into their communities and give it to individuals, families, and then collect it back from themselves. It is what Kente and Quentro went through to come up with ways to help Latinx communities grow, helping them in leadership positions, helping them just like one of my sisters said earlier, giving them a hand, lifting them up, and you know, so looking out for our community, able to know what is the need on the ground, because maybe we haven't gotten all the needs yet. And maybe somebody from the ground might be able to tell us what is the need on the ground that we might add to, or that might be more urgent. So we can then take the return of all these things, go through it and begin. I mean, there's so much to do. And I say this because I think it's very important for Africans to truly understand and accept who they are, where they've been and where they're trying to go. But like my brother said earlier, we truly cannot go there that we're trying to go unless we're able to take the time to look through these steps. Thank you.
All right, that's one suggestion. I hope everybody is following up on what Brother David said. Any other suggestion or any other comment? Do you, because the key of having this is to have a conversation. And what Brother David is saying is to come up with a questionnaire of which will be sent to the communities, and for them to answer those and send it back to us to be added on the list that we have identified. Or another option would be, since we have identified those lists, we can invite those communities, and because when we are talking, we can also, the same thing that the dialogue team have met and came up with the theme and so on. I wanted to get feedback from each one of you, and we did that. We can do the same thing, invite these leaders of their community and to see, to get their own feedback based on the information that we decided that we are going to have. That's another option. Now, why is it out of a sudden everywhere is quiet?
I think
we're still listening. Okay, this is Uche Ezechukwu. Let me add something. Now, about having feedbacks. We know ourselves, we are Africans, and we know how reluctant we are when giving feedbacks on things. So I believe that even though most of us, when we come over here, we have to learn, a new way of, being up to speed with things. But still, as Africans, if we have to, give them back things to bring back, it may be a little difficult. I believe that it might be easier if either that those people maybe they send their feedback through, probably they will be given email to send back their feedback. As we are most of us are coordinators, as we are reaching out to those people, they could be giving emails for their feedback, and then some of them who may not be able to join, be part of probably a Zoom meeting or something, they can also have an opportunity of having a feedback through their, email or something, because the reason why I say that is we know, how lax we can be. We have to tell ourselves the truth, how lax we can be in returning things and giving feedbacks. So if we can find another forum which could be easier, which I suggest might be email too, that may be a help.
Anybody else? Let me throw one thing out. One thing I have learned with our community is this. If we go back and tell them and give them a survey, believe me, most of the time you're not going to hear from them. From experience, and Monsignor would tell you, when you send people a personalized letter, an invitation letter, and tell them, you don't want them to know all the details of what we are inviting them, because this is a conversation. We are trying to invite people to come so we can have a conversation, not in a way to be too structured. And once they receive that letter, have NAACUS or even with Sister Joanna office and send it to them, they get excited. And they look at it, this is a kind of official and etc. They are willing to come to hear what the conversation is all about. I have seen it through Region 3 conference, and I'm seeing it through the Midwest Regional Conference. But it's fine. But if you all decide that that's the route to go to send to develop a question and send it to them, to get it back to them, I don't have any problem. But I just want to bring it to your attention based on experience and etc. Most of the time, our people like when they are personally invited to come and hear this conversation. The people in Houston, they are not on the call. They have had they had a meeting with their leaders, and they invited them to that conversation. And believe me, it was very productive, and they enjoy it. They're reaching out to them and inviting them to come to this open conversation. Is there anything else anybody has so that we can begin?
Yes, I would like to say that at least for now, let us make the discussions with the community leaders an open one, in the sense that if we send out anything in the form of a questionnaire, it will be good. But at the initial stage, let's limit ourselves to just the open conversation. After we have met with them and had the conversation, then if we want to come up with any questionnaire, then the questionnaire wouldn't go to just the leaders. It will go beyond the leaders. If you go to the communities, then we'll have broad feedback from the people. So for me, let's have just an open conversation without making any structure as to what is going to be discussed, just making an open discussion with the theme of coming together as African Catholics in the United States. That alone is good. So when they come, then we begin to talk about all this. Then if we listen to them more, we will also know whether they are on the same page with us, or the issues that we have addressed tonight will be the same issues or even more than what we have addressed. Then we will know. Then in that case, we will know how we will move forward in the other direction. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, brother Alice. Is there anybody else?
I'm trying to see how efficient we can be. I agree with the letter, with the idea of a letter, but we can make it a letter quasi-questionnaire. What do I mean? Send a letter inviting them, and in that letter, ask them to identify 2 main issues that concern their community, which they would like to come and discuss. The good thing about that is that prior to the meeting, we would have had on our agenda some framework as well as materials which we can discuss, so that when we come, we are not coming to start with something so new. That's one way, because people don't like responding to questionnaires, because questionnaires tend to be a little long, however we make them. But a letter that involves those 2 issues, we kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What are the main issues in your community that you like to bring for discussion? Then you are invited and you come along. That's my own thinking.
You know, I like that idea. I think it's in that way that, you know, let them know that it's not just NAACUS that is structuring the conversation. That no. we also want to hear the issues, the key issues that are facing their community.
Yes. Grassroots.
Anybody else have anything else to add, or are you in support or agreement with that comment?
Yes, I am really. I think it is a well thought out process, and I believe it will work. I also think that the question may also include not just the issues they are dealing with in their own specific communities, but relative to NAACUS, okay? Whatever we are doing here is a NAACUS agenda. Individual communities have their things to deal with, but our concern is how their communities are relating to NAACUS, because NAACUS is the one relating to the bishops, not individual communities. So NAACUS is relating to the bishops' conference. And that is how the little communities can get to the bishops' conference, how their concerns can get to the bishops' conference is through NAACUS. So it is important that if we're asking people to, what are the two main issues that will help you or become a great participant in NAACUS, or what are some of the issues that you want NAACUS to address for you? Whatever we want to do, let us connect those communities with NAACUS, because that is what we are about. We can't solve every problem. We must remain focused on who we are and what our agenda is. The second thing I'd like to point out is that, there is something I learned from George Bush Jr. It is called the coalition of the willing. Days are gone when consensus is what you seek, because consensus has become a very difficult concept. So coalition of the willing is how we operate these days. You do what you want to do the best you can do it. And once you are convinced on the leadership level that that's what you want to do, you move on with it. People like to join a bandwagon that is going well. NAACUS is going well. And so at a point, those who are not part of the consensus will become part of the willing. And so we may not always have a consensus, but I think we need to build our strategy based on the coalition of the willing.
Thank you, Monsignor. Those are really key, and that's really the purpose of why we are having this. Is to reach out to all those people who are struggling or who keep thinking they don't know what NAACUS is all about, and etc. And having an open discussion with them to educate some of them is going to help NAACUS in the long run. I think now the question that I have. Do we need to have another meeting with this team? Do we need to have another meeting, or we just moving forward, waiting to get the list from those who are compiling the list, and then we will summarize everything that we have talked about, draft the letters, and include the two issues that we talk about, referencing to what Monsignor talked about. Do we need to have another meeting, or we just need to move forward from here once we get the list?
I think that from what we basically it's looking up to. We have already come close to what we want our community leaders as relating to our church, in our mother church. We've kind of come close to what we want them to be aware of, So I believe that we should focus more on, the names and collation of those informations. And then when those things come, to be able to make sure that, the group putting them down would, put it in a way that whatever those, even if it's 2 or 3 questions or however we put them, that it will be very clear, so that when the community leaders, read them, go through them, it will be easy for them to kind of, give, short, easy answers, for the letter, stroke the simple questionnaires, which I'm just saying we should have to make them very simple.
For clarification, we are not including questionnaire. What we said that we was going to do is write the letter and ask them to identify two main issues that their community is facing, to help to address NAACUS or to be, in terms of being a part of NAACUS and their concerns in reaching out to USCCB, and I know how we can be able to rephrase that, but not in terms of giving them all the questionnaire. Then when they
No.
yeah, when they come, and then we can be able to address those issues and see if there's something within the list that we have identified that they come up with that we need to add, we need to include in our list. That's my understanding or what I heard.
Oh, I thought the Monsignor was saying that we have to relate whatever we write related to NAACUS. It can't just be community, like local ethnic. We have to relate. That is what I'm referring.
Yeah, in the letters that we are going to write to invite them, we are talking. But I was thinking was when Brother Seko said in the letter to include the two main issue that their community, that they are facing, and Monsignor said to also connect NAACUS to that question, so that it just doesn't have to be just their community, because everything that we are doing is really evangelization for NAACUS.
Oh,
right?
Madam President.
Yes.
Yeah, please, I would like to excuse myself. I will see, I have another meeting in 10 minutes, so I will just, excuse myself. I will see the minutes later. Whatever you decide is fine.
Sure.
Yeah, this is Stephanie. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else, Sister Uche? Did I clarify that?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is there anybody else? I guess really the key is volunteers. We will need volunteers to help in terms of compiling, compiling the list. We also need volunteers to help in terms of helping sending the email out once the letter is being drafted, because there is going to be a lot of lists. So if anybody is willing to help us out, let us know.
Can we have each coordinators in each region just take care of their, like once you do, let's say you do the letters for the Midwest, you can send between Uche, Stephanie, myself, and Indiana. You have a few people, then we do that part, then you have, like that. I'm thinking that would make it easier. I don't know.
Yeah, and brother, Sister Red, she's used to sending all those letters, because she said we drafted the one that she sent for the Midwest, and that was very successful. It was very successful the way that we handled that one. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? So there's no other meetings, right, with this group until when we set the date to invite the key leaders, and I'm thinking inviting them will be probably next year. That will give us some time to get all the things together.
Right.
Yep. That works.
Yep, that would be nice. Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Now be drafting the letters.
Brother Alex.
Our General Secretary, this is coming to you, and I hope you help with the minutes, right?
It was recorded. It was recorded, so I will take it.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry, Madam President. Brother Alex, we need to talk before Madam President gets on me. We need to talk.
Hold on. You can't have meeting within a meeting.
No,
all right. I am not here. I just tell you.
Let's let's conclude this one and then we can talk. I know what you guys want to talk about, the men's ministry. Let's finish this one.
No.
Tonight is not a
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is there any other? Don't forget we have board meeting tomorrow. Is there any other comment? Was this meeting helpful?
It's helpful only if we'll be able to follow through and also follow up and also be able to implement all our ideas. It's good. The first time it may be difficult, but once you have been able to lay your foundation, installing the bricks and the blocks and the walls becomes the easy part. By coordinating well to make sure that the structure is well established is the question, and is where the problem lies. Like Monsignor said, the willing coalition. So when we are willing and when we are committed and devoted, we'll be able to achieve all our goals with respect to this dialogue initiative. So willingness, commitment, and devotion, we'll be able to do it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. If there's no other comment, Monsignor have a closing comment and to lead us in a closing prayer.
Yes.
Monsignor, just give me 1 second before you lead us in the prayer.
Before you, remember what you said about the mass on 6th, the NAACUS mass, for us to keep sending it out to communities. You remember?
Yes. Yes. And if we get the letter, if we get everything on time, we can always include the flyer, to the letters to be sent to them too.
Beautiful.
Okay. So I just want to remind us as we continue on this journey that we are Africans and that we want to stick to African values. Yes, what we have learned from the West is good, but we stick to African values. So we don't leave our own behind, whether they want to follow us or not. We don't allow them to drag us back. We're moving, but we're keeping an eye on them. So willing or not, we are Africans and we can't leave our own behind. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I am grateful to all of you for your commitment to this process. Madam President cannot do this thing alone. If she does not have the support of people, she will very soon get very tired. And nothing stops people from working hard as feeling unsupported. That is why I am always so grateful when she calls these meetings that we attend. At least for one thing, she knows that she has the support of those that she needs in order to manage the governance of these associations. So I just want to lend my voice in thanking all of you for caring that much about NAACUS. We will continue to invite leaders of ethnic communities into our folk. The coalition of the willing never leaves anyone behind. The coalition of the willing is to use whatever support we have to push forward. And hopefully our success will become infectious and attractive, that people will join us. So the coalition of the willing is never an abandonment. It is actually a positive invitation, but it says we're going to keep going, moving forward, no matter how small we are. It's like when I go out to preach. If I have 5 people in that church or 5,000 people, my preaching does not change. I preach with the same power and force as God will grant me on that day. And people have come to know that. So we are not going to be stopped by the grace of God. So I'm going to ask you to continue to do what you're doing so that Sally will continue to be as brave and strong as she is. Also, just to as a final thought, for all our leaders, I think that it's a very powerful thing if we can get, sometimes your coordinators are not clear as to how to reach these regional bishops and make them do what we want them to do. But I think that if we reach the bishops through the PCMR and ask them to encourage all the ethnic ministry coordinators and chaplains that they have appointed, because they are the ones who appoint them, to participate and with NAACUS, being the national body, all of them will immediately do that because they're always afraid of their local bishops. So, I mean, I can expand that idea with Sally and what's her name when I come back from Nigeria. So, but thank you all. And so I ask you to join me now, wherever you are, as we say, as we pray Hail Mary, asking our Mother Mary to be our intercessor in this process. Hail Mary.
Full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now at the hour of our death. Amen.
The Lord be with you.
And with the Spirit.
Almighty bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
God bless all of you, and thank you again.
Thank you, Monsignor. Thank you for
Monsignor,
being
thank you.